I'm hungry. Let's eat. It feels weird to be eating on camera, but today I'm excited because I have acquired a weird skill, and that is to eat relatively high protein without breaking the bank. So in today's video, I'm gonna be showing you what I eat in a day, how I hit these macros and spend a reasonable amount of money. Food prices are fun and wild and have been going up and up and up in recent years. And I'm finding it more and more difficult to fuel my body well without spending a small fortune on buying food. So some of the things that I try and accomplish with the meals that I prepare are, first off, I want it to be roughly 50 grams of protein per meal. That is my goal with each of these meals. And we're also a family of 4, and I'm the mother of 2 children, and it is summer break, which means I need meals that I can prepare very quickly. So this first meal is 3 servings of egg whites, 2 eggs, 1 serving of Canadian bacon, and 1 serving of Chobani non-fat plain yogurt. Now, normally what I do is this is the Chobani vanilla, but I didn't have that this morning. I ran out yesterday. And I haven't gotten to the grocery store yet to repurchase, but I will be. So this is just the plain, and I added a little bit of agave syrup to it. But as that's not what I normally do, I'm going to have the price for each meal based on what I normally do. And that would be the Chobani vanilla non-fat Greek yogurt. Now, for the longest time, I would just eat 4 to 5 scrambled eggs for breakfast in the morning. But somehow I've hit my limit on scrambled eggs. It is very hard for me to eat just plain scrambled eggs now. However, mixing in the Canadian bacon into this, yes, adds just a little bit of variance, which makes it easier to eat. Also, sprinkling in a bite of yogurt in between eggs and Canadian bacon is just amazing. Love it. Now, one thing about the area that I live in is that I'm not next to water. I live inland, shall we say. And that means that the price of fish where I live is very, very high. But if you live in a coastal region and have access to fish, that is an excellent source of protein and a great protein source to rotate in. When I can get fish and eat fish, I do. But you won't see any fish in this video, even though it's really high protein and really yummy and delicious and good for you. It's because it's outrageously expensive where I live. And you may be looking at this meal and going, Courtney, there's no fiber in that whatsoever. You'd be right. Don't worry. We'll be getting that later in the day, just not with breakfast. And I probably should have said this first thing, but if numbers are triggering to you, if looking at calories is triggering to you, if looking at number of grams of protein is triggering to you, this may not be the video for you. But I personally have found that when I track the amount of calories that I eat and the amount of protein that I consume, I actually struggle way less with hunger with gaining weight, with regulating my blood sugar. I used to be that person who would starve myself, being terrified to eat anything, thinking that if I ate it, it would either make my rheumatoid arthritis worse, make my acne worse, or it would somehow make me instantly fat if I ate one cookie. If there's one thing I could tell past Courtney, it would be that that's not how food works, honey. Just eat the food. And I find that I actually eat the right amount of food if I go ahead and use MyFitnessPal and track it and like weigh it out and am intentional about making sure that I'm consuming enough. It actually makes me way less hungry, way less likely to binge eat and have unhealthy eating habits. Hopefully you find this video helpful. If you do, feel free to give it a thumbs up and share it with a friend. I would greatly appreciate it. I'm trying to be helpful, and I wish that I had seen this video somewhere on the internet, and having ideas on how to eat enough protein, not break the budget is nice. And of course, you may need to make modifications for this for dietary requirements and budgetary needs. If you have some hacks and or tricks on how to eat roughly 50 grams of protein a meal and not spend $4,000 a month on groceries, comment down below. Share your knowledge, share your tips and tricks, because I read every comment, because I'm always looking for more tips and tricks. Lunchtime. And here we are. This is lunch. I know it doesn't look like much, but it's actually really easy for me to cook 2 pounds of ground meat and a couple cups of rice and have broccoli steamed on hand, ready to go. It's not necessarily meal prepping in the same sense that like most people, when they meal prep, they weigh out like 6 separate containers with 100 grams of rice, 6 ounces of ground meat, and 100 grams of broccoli. I don't put it in a separate container. I just put them in one big container. And sometimes I'll mix it up. I'll have like quinoa instead of rice in the fridge, or I will have squash prepped instead of broccoli, or I'll have shredded chicken instead of ground meat. But basically it's a grain, it's a protein source, and it's a veggie, all mixed together in a bowl. And I just weigh it out, heat it up in the microwave real quick, and then there's my lunch. Usually I'm not having to cook all 3 of these things at once. Usually what happens is I'll run out of ground meat, but I'll still have broccoli and rice in the fridge, so I will just make more ground meat real quick. Or I'll be out of rice, make the rice real quick, but I have ground meat and broccoli in the fridge. It's unusual for me to run out of all 3 things and have to cook all 3 things at once, but sometimes that's just how it goes. But even with me having to cook all 3 of these things separately, it didn't take me too terribly long. So this is lunch. This is what the macros are for this particular meal. It's more calorie dense because the ground meat is 85-15, but I feel good about myself because it's organic ground meat. I don't mind eating it all mixed together like this in the bowl. Occasionally, I will add a tablespoon or 2 of some sort of salad dressing to it. Usually the Primal Kitchen ranch salad dressing is my go-to. I really, really like that one. It's very good on this, but this fills me up. It's quick, it's easy. I know it hits my nutrition goals, and I kind of don't have to think about it. It's something that I can put my brain into neutral on. I know it's gonna be tasty, I know it's gonna be delicious, and I know I'm gonna feel good after I eat it. So Easy peasy. Well, hello. Here we are at the end of the day, and I did a terrible job of filming preparing the dinner. But what we have is a serving of frozen green beans, a baked potato, and some grilled chicken. Really easy, really simple, and pretty affordable when you make it at home. I am starving. Oh, that's good. In my baked potato, I did add some butter, some sour cream, and some sharp cheddar cheese. Change my mind, sharp cheddar cheese is the best. And here are the macros for tonight's dinner. Honestly, I am quite a few calories short for the day, but I've absolutely crushed the protein goal for today. I'm really thrilled about that. I'm actually very excited to finish tearing into this dinner and devouring it because I'm quite hungry, and more than likely, I will have a sweet treat for dessert because I need a few extra calories today. But there you have it, guys. Here is the total cost breakdown for each meal. That is all it cost me, and I got 160 grams of protein today. Now, you can absolutely modify this in any way, shape, or form that you so choose. I'm not saying that you have to eat this way. This is how I've been eating lately, and it's been really working well for me. I think for a very long time, I was extremely low in my protein intake, and it definitely increased my inflammation. Oddly enough, I was of the mindset that high protein foods were inflammatory, so I would eat very little of them, thinking that I would be helping my inflammation long term. Turns out that the opposite is true. The higher protein I eat, the lower my inflammation is. And getting enough protein feels like a full-time job and a very expensive endeavor, and it doesn't necessarily have to be that expensive. There are a couple of benchmarks that I use to mark in my personal brain what makes a food a high protein food and what isn't a high protein food. Because there was a time when I thought that eating an egg and a strip of bacon for breakfast was an extremely high protein breakfast. It's really not. So the benchmark that I use is I look at the total calories for the food and the total grams of protein. For example, if a food item is 50 calories per serving, it needs to have at least 5 grams of protein per serving to be a high protein food. I want the grams of protein to be at least 10% of the calorie count in order for it to qualify in my brain as a high protein food. So if I'm picking up a snack off the convenience store shelf, I scan for the calories and the protein. Does this mean that I will not eat something if it has 0 protein in it? Absolutely not. I will eat the sweet treats. I just want to make sure that I am also getting enough protein as well. I've rambled on long enough. I sure hope you are having an absolutely fantastic day. I sure hope you found this video helpful, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.